So I talked about the issue of global climate change, and I just don't think we're going to make it unless we think of ourselves as a community again, unless we reconnect with each other, unless we change our values. It's not going to happen just through developing more green technology and through creating more density. Those are very important, but people actually have to adopt it. People have to change their values. We need to start thinking about how do we get satisfaction in our life, meaning in our life, by connecting with one another, supporting one another, and caring for the place that we share. Rather than just how do we get ahead by accumulating more, trying to get ahead of one another, thinking of ourselves as individuals, that our actions don't make any difference. And it's a community that we feel responsible to one another, that we feel accountable, that we feel as a group we can really make change. We don't feel that way for isolated individuals. So the idea is to start focusing on what's there in the community. Doesn't mean we should ignore our needs, but let's not forget that we have incredible resources in our community that are untapped. And that are empowering because we control those. We don't have to ask anybody's permission to use those. We don't have to write a grant in order to use those. We've got them already. So here are some of them. One of them is just that absolutely every individual in the community, without exception, has gifts to give. Everybody's got three kinds of gifts. One is gifts of the head, which is unique knowledge they have. Gifts of the heart, which is what they're passionate about. And gifts of the hands, which are what are their unique skills. But the problem in our society is that increasingly we're putting labels on huge sections of our population to say that they have no gifts. That they're actually a problem in our community. We use labels like homeless to define people not by what they have, but what they don't have. We hardly ever talk about youth in our society without using the phrase at-risk youth. When we do that, we're missing out on the creativity of young people, the energy of young people. Who's got more at stake in the future of our community than young people? And yet we talk about them as a problem. And wonder why they don't get involved. We do the same. I get increasingly sensitive to this other end with the seniors. After all, who's got more wisdom, right? And who's got more knowledge about the community? Who's got more of the relationships? People are disabled. That drives me nuts. We're defining more and more of our population as disabled. We're defining them as clients rather than as citizens. How many people in this room have no disability? You know, mine's my memory. It's getting worse all the time. But when I'm applying for a job, I don't say, boy, I've got a really bad memory. Please hire me. I try to dredge up some gifts I might have to give, right? And yet there's a whole section of our population that we just define by their disability. It's sick. And then we wonder why they don't get involved in community life. We need to take those labels off and recognize that absolutely everybody in our community has gifts.